It's too close. It's right across the street. It's entirely too close.
Under the laws of the state of North Carolina, we cannot do anything.
Tonight, WNCN exposes a legal loophole that allows sex offenders to live right next to schools and daycares. Good evening, I'm Sean Maroney.
And I'm Sharon Tazwell. Take a look at this map. There are nearly 20,000 registered sex offenders living in North Carolina.
And you may think state law keeps them from living near schools and daycares, but we found that's not always the case.
WNCN Investigates Jonathan Rodriguez joins us live in Raleigh with our investigation into why. Good evening, Jonathan.
John, Sharon, good evening. When it comes to sex crimes against children, statistics show us that the offenders is usually someone that the child knows. But there are laws on our books right now that restrict how close registered offenders can live next to places like this where kids play, our schools, our daycares. But we mapped every offender across the state and found some who were living literally right next door to places like this. And law enforcement tell us there is nothing they can do about it.
It's the last place you'd want to find a sex offender anywhere near.
We monitor them the best that we can.
Law is the law, but I don't know. I don't feel too comfortable about it.
WNCN Investigates found a loophole that allows some offenders to live right by a school or daycare, and it's 100% legal.
Right across the street. It's very shocking.
The bottom line is we can only go by what the law says.
State law restricts registered offenders from living within 1,000 feet of any school or child care center.
We personally go out if we have to and measure, so we don't take it lightly.
But there's a caveat.
If you live within 1,000 feet of a school or child care center prior to August 16, 2006, then you're grandfathered in.
When they came out with this law, instead of making those people that owned their homes and were established move, they said you can stay there.
So how many offenders are legally living next to schools or daycares? It turns out it's a number law enforcement really doesn't keep track of. So WNCN Investigates built our own digital database to find out. First, we used state records to plot every offender in Wake and Durham County. Then we added in the locations of every public school and every licensed daycare to find out which offenders are living within 1,000 feet. There were more than we expected.
Some of these homes are right next to playgrounds, to schools. I mean, does that bring a concern for you guys?
Absolutely, but only thing we can do is follow the letter of the law.
We found nearly 30 in Wake County, and in Durham, even the sheriff's office didn't realize how many were legally living next to schools.
We have one person who's grandfathered in that we can determine, and that person is in prison.
But then we showed him our maps. We found at least 20.
Everyone you call, they're finding.
So it's just not something that you guys keep track of?
There's no system in place where you can just query it and see who's within 1,000 feet of a school who's been grandfathered in. No computer system.
And you may be surprised just how close some of these registered sex offenders are to schools and playgrounds. For example, we found this house on the list, but less than 400 feet away, literally right on the other side of the street, is this child's daycare. And you can see they have their playground right in the front yard.
I'm so surprised. I can't believe it. My nephew has been going here for like 2 years, and I just had my sister had a newborn baby who goes here.
The state law says that he has a right to be there.
So really there's nothing you can do at that point?
Not according to, under the laws of the state of North Carolina, we cannot do anything.
We also found this home in Raleigh. State records show a convicted sex offender lives here less than 100 feet away from this daycare.
Were you aware that there was a sex offender right next door?
No, I had no idea.
How does that make you feel?
No, that's too close. It's right across the street. It's entirely too close.
We got a full-fledged daycare, and they play on these playgrounds all day long. I mean, I understand that they're watched and they're under care, but you're talking about the safety of kids, defenseless kids at that.
The bottom line, even if these parents wanted these offenders to move,
there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing.
Now, that loophole also applies to new schools and daycares that are built. Offenders living next to those will not be required to move. We've built an interactive map. It's on our website that looks at all the schools across Wake County and the offenders nearby. You can check that out right now on WNCN.com. For now, we're live in Raleigh. Jonathan Rodriguez, WNCN News.
Wow, startling information there. Jonathan, thank you.